welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, August 3rd, 2021. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. Minister of Finance Camilo Gonzalez has dismissed the recent claims by leader of the opposition Dr. Godwin Friday that 95 million EC dollars in government spending are unaccounted for between 2010 and 2015. In a press release issued on Friday, Minister Gonzalez stated that the claim made by the opposition leader is false. So too is his claim that the government is playing fast and loose with taxpayers' money. The finance minister points out that there is no missing money as alleged. At a virtual meeting hosted by the NDP last Tuesday, Dr. Friday shared that 95 million EC dollars, the difference between what the Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines said was drawn down under the government's overdraft account, and the amount the Accountant General presented to the Director of Audit could not be accounted for. However, the Finance Minister, citing a verbatim response provided to him from the Director General of Finance and Planning and his staff on the specific issues raised by the opposition leader, said that unreconciled difference is neither new or restricted to any government administration. This as it was highlighted that there was a difference in excess of 5.7 million EC dollars as far back as 1999 under the NDP's administration. It was further stated by the finance minister in the news release that while the matter of unreconciled balances is an operational one, it does not support the assertion of corruption or any nefarious activity on the part of the government or its officials. The finance minister said his ministry has zero tolerance for the type of misappropriation alleged by the opposition leader, noting that no government minister signs checks for government spending, neither do they touch or handle the government's money. Dr. Friday was also challenged in the press release on his role as chairman for the Public Accounts Committee by the finance minister, who said Dr. Friday has never convened the committee since 2016, despite the statements on the reports of the Director of Audit to the media. In other news, the Ministry of National Mobilization will soon roll out Phase 2 of its Suffer Relief Grant Program, which will see persons in the red and orange zones affected by the volcanic eruption continue to receive financial support from the government while being empowered to get back on their feet. This was announced by Minister of National Mobilization Orlando Brewster at a news conference today as he addressed a number of issues his ministry has embarked on for volcano-affected persons. The minister said that more than 500 households will benefit from the Suffer Relief Program.
The ministry is in the process of introducing the Suffer Relief Grant Phase 2, and this will be focusing on family life education and client empowerment support for 500 households from the red zone. And this will be done in this month, and this will also be done in collaboration with UNICEF. So we have to provide some family life education and some client empowerment support for some folks also in the red zone, and this is part of the Suffer Grant Relief Phase 2.
The first phase of the Suffer Relief Grant Program saw thousands of volcano-affected persons receiving income support through Western Union, the World Food Program, and UNICEF. Brewster said the government has allocated $2 million in the supplementary budget, which will be used for the second phase of the program, which starts this month.
With the approval and allocation of $2 million, this was given to the ministry to help to continue the Suffer Relief Grant Phase 2 to displaced families in the red and orange zone. And this will be done through further income support and or food packages or vouchers to displaced families for the period August to December 2021.
Building materials which will be distributed to homeowners affected by La Soufrière volcano and the recent floods have already begun to arrive in the state from local suppliers and those from regional suppliers expected next week. This is according to Minister of National Mobilization Orlando Brewster, who said that the sourcing of materials was done with funds allocated in the supplementary budget to the tune of $6.5 million.
Thus far, the government has ordered $6.5 million worth of building materials, 3.9 million locally and 2.6 million from a regional supplier. And as we speak right now, the local suppliers are currently supplying our Annisvale storeroom. And the regional order is expected to arrive in Port Kingston on August 8th. So we are in the process of getting the building materials for us to start with our repair and reconstruction phase of the relief effort as it relates to housing.
A total of $11.5 million was allocated to the housing relief and recovery effort. However, Minister Brewster said a preliminary assessment put the damage caused by the volcanic eruption at $20 million in the red and orange zones, and therefore more monies will be needed to cover the costs.
We would have to make a determination at Cabinet as to how we are going to proceed with all the other arrangement with regards to the rebuilding process. And we are in it for the long haul. It is some daunting figures as it relates to the number of homes affected, and the number continues to increase daily. And you know, we have had some great input from folks in the diaspora who has reached out to us to help with the relief and recovery effort.
The government minister said building materials will go directly to the volcano and flood-affected homeowners, noting that some persons are still in shelters, but they will not be left out. The housing minister, however, noted that at this time, his ministry will only deal with Category 1 and 2 of the rebuilding process.
We would primarily concentrate on levels 0 to 2, which are more of the smaller repairs and so on, and these would be done in a rapid manner in order for us to help with the reopening of schools. So those who sustain these small level of damage to their homes, through the Ministry of Housing, through our project, we will put together a team that could go out into the various zones and get contractors, and we would do these small repairs so that we can have some of the folks who are still in the public shelters to return back to their home once the all clear is given.
Government has published the programs for the undergraduate and postgraduate scholarships that Vincentians can apply for to the University of Wales, Trinity, St. David in the UK. Speaking on the scholarship offerings on radio this morning, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves said that there will be 8 undergraduate programs, and students who will be granted the scholarships will have to reside on campus.
The postgraduate scholarships are online, and they're master's degrees. You have a Master of Business Administration. You have a MBA in International Hotel Development, MBA in Sustainability Leadership, an MSc in Digital Skills for Health and Care Professions. Very important area for Health Information Systems and the delivery of health services, and a Master's of Arts degree in Modern Literature. For the on-campus bachelor's programs, so the undergraduate programs, cover very importantly the cost of tuition, the accommodation, which is a big one at the Lampeter campus, and the airport transfer in the UK, for instance, when you arrive in the UK, they will make sure that you get to at their cost.
As for the scholarships for the postgraduate studies, there are 5 programs which will be done online.
Graduate scholarship. And the scholarships for the online programs cover the tuition costs, which is what is all you really require.
Yeah,
now you can work out arrangements with the government through the student loan program or any other program for your laptop and things like that. So it's very important. I'm talking about this because the time period, the applications for admission, along with the requisite documents for the University of Wales Trinity St. David must reach them no later than the 13th of August.
The Prime Minister said that the requirements for the scholarships are simple. One must be over 18 years, have a valid SVG passport, and must be available to commence the program of studies in September or October.
Now you can work out arrangements with the government through the student loan program or any other program for your laptop and things like that. So it's very important. I'm talking about this because the time period, the applications for admission, along with the requisite documents for the University of Wales Trinity St. David must reach them no later than the 13th of August.
Yes.
And for the scholarships, you have to submit the forms to the Chief Personnel Officer no later than Monday the 30th of August. University of Wales Trinity St. David. So you prepare your application meanwhile.
Yes.
For the scholarship. While you apply to the school and apply today.
Repairs to schools island-wide are expected to commence soon. This is according to the Prime Minister, who said Braxa should have started already, noting that 9 schools will undergo major repairs, including the Thomas Saunders Secondary, which will take a longer time to complete.
So that there's some elementary repairs which will have to be done to Thomas Saunders. So Thomas Saunders will start sometime next year. But we'll have that school put to use because we have to build a second one across for the girls' high school. And I'll explain why. And the grammar school one will take about, the repairs to be done by the grammar school, which will take a number of weeks, maybe up to nearly a year, really, given the expanded nature of the works to be done at the grammar school. So we have to have, so in those in the girls' high school and the grammar school, they'll be out for quite some time. So we have to put them in temporary accommodation.
During his visit into the Red Zone last week, PM Gonzalez visited the site of the temporary Sandy Bay Secondary School, which is being constructed using concrete to allow the building to be used for additional purposes when the new modern Sandy Bay Secondary School is constructed. The Prime Minister said a more permanent structure was suggested by Area Representative Montgomery Daniel.
Now, Montgomery had the idea that rather than build this one in timber, since we have the time, he said we should build it in concrete, in blocks, so that when we leave here to go back to the new school, we will have this school for other purposes, including, for instance, to have seminars taking place here of one kind or the other. It could be used with young people and so on. Weekends or during the week, it can be used for people who come in, people who want to have a camp. Let's say, for instance, we have a cricket field down here by Black Point. It's also a football place. Fellas could come here and do training down here, which is just 5 minutes walk. So all of this is in the contemplation. I think it's a good idea that Gomery push that we do it with the blocks.
Dr. Gonzalez noted that to accommodate the multi-purpose function of the building in the future, additional amenities will be incorporated in the construction. The Sandy Bay Secondary School, which was destroyed by heavy ashfall, was previously earmarked for reconstruction prior to the eruption of La Soufrière. It is among 9 schools to be renovated or reconstructed, and that are being co-funded by the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the Caribbean Development Bank at almost $40 million. Deputy Prime Minister and Area Representative Montgomery Daniel noted that Black Point was chosen to temporarily house the Sandy Bay Secondary School due to the dangers of lahars or mud flows in the north and the difficulties with moving back to the north during the rainy season. He also took the time to commend Braxa for their work during the cleanup and rebuilding period. Chief Executive Officer of Braxa, Kem Bartolomeo, gave a technical update on the ongoing construction work on the school, which upon completion will house some 300 students.
Is at the old building that used to be the Flamingo. This building will be converted into the staff room. In addition to this, we have 6 other buildings that will be new buildings that will be constructed to house classrooms. So these 6 structures, we have 6 different contractors. They started about a month now, and you can see progress here. We are out of foundation, we are going up, preparing for roof. And we are aiming that by the end of August, we should substantially complete these projects. We want to add a 7th contractor who will start the fencing work, because we want to do all the works simultaneously, so that at the end we come in together with good completion. As was said, this would be housing we have a separate building for the washrooms and the other amenities to support learning. So we want to do that and do that effectively, prepare a facility that is not only for the school at this time, but in future that can be used as a multifaceted facility.
In some COVID-19 related news now, we hear that 5 new positive cases were reported from 196 samples processed on Friday, July 30th, resulting in a positivity rate of 2.6%. 2 of the 5 new cases are import-related cases. 1 new COVID-19 case was reported from 215 samples processed on Saturday, July 31st, resulting in a positivity rate of 0.5%. 1 new recovery was noted over the reporting period. Meanwhile, no new COVID-19 positive cases were reported from 101 samples processed on Sunday, August 1st, 2021, and no new positive cases were reported from 37 samples processed on Monday, August 2nd. 3 new recoveries were, however, noted over the reporting period. 52 cases are currently active and 12 persons with COVID-19 have died. 2,297 cases of COVID-19 and 2,233 recoveries have been reported in St. Vincent and the Grenadines since March 2020. The health authorities say persons who persist in incorrect or no mask use, remain unvaccinated, and participate in mass gatherings will continue to be at risk for being infected and spreading COVID-19, and that to reduce the spread of COVID-19 here in SVG, the compliance with the protocols, including the effective use of masks, physical distancing, and the evidence-based recommendations to be vaccinated with the available vaccines is strongly recommended. Meanwhile, the public is asked to note that the Ministry of Agriculture's head office in capital Kingston was closed from today, Tuesday, August 3rd, until further notice. The announcement said a temporary closure is to allow the ministry to deal with issues related to staff members who have been tested positive for COVID-19. The Ministry of Agriculture apologizes for any inconveniences. St. Vincent and the Grenadines and several other Caribbean countries celebrate Emancipation Day on Sunday, August 1st, 2021. SVG's Viewpoint program reflected on where we are as a people after 183 years of freedom. Emancipation Day marks the date when the bill for the abolition of slavery came into law and slavery was abolished in the British Empire. The panelists on the Viewpoint program, Ronaldo Andrews, a student of the SVG Grammar School and committee member of the Heritage Club, Farida Narnton, a female Rastafarian farmer and author, Cardin Michael, briefly explained what emancipation means to them.
In my opinion, emancipation is setting free, whether it is of your problems, whether it is of anything that happened in the past. So that is my point of view of emancipation.
Okay. Millions of mummies and daddies were from African descendants were taken into slavery, and I think we need to know a lot more about our history. We need to be taught more as young people, as a nation and as a race about African descendants.
Should be one of the most significant days on our calendar. Knowing what our ancestors had to go through, this pivotal day should be celebrated just like any pagan holiday that was enforced by our colonizers.
In their discussion, the panelists shared the view that even after 183 years of freedom, the people still have a slavery mentality.
Have not been freed as yet from the ideology that was forced on us by our colonizers. How we interact with each other, okay, shows that we are not caring, tends to have this aggressiveness towards each other.
Very much so.
Okay, so we need to rise beyond these things and come back to our...
So I think as a people we are a bit too dependent, whether it may be on older folks and so on. As young people, independence is not a very prevalent thing, because sometimes I even include myself, because as young people we find ourselves in situations where big older folks have to be behind us to do certain things, whether it is the simplest doing household chores or even doing homework and so on. So as a people, I think we could be more unified and independent.
183 years later, we have made many advancements. We have grown, but rightfully so, as Mr. Michael suggested. There's a lot of black on black crime, but I still see it as part of the system.
And a group of persons came together on Sunday, August 1st to celebrate Emancipation Day in the Rose Place area. Speaking at a celebration event, historian and author Dr. Adrian Fraser spoke on several riots and protests that the people of SVG were involved with in their fight for freedom.
Coming into Kingston because they were afraid of what these people in masks would do. So carnival was banned and the people rioted, and you have the famous 1879 carnival riots. Again, Trinidad had its carnival riots in 1881. So we predated the Trinidad riots because ours was first in 1879. And I just want to mention a few other protests to show that over the years, our people did not sit down. They were prepared to fight for whatever they wanted. In 1885, when they attempted to have a federation of the Windward Islands, the people protested, and they said in that protest, the largest number of people were women who came out, and when they were having a meeting at the courthouse, They said no confederation, no confederation.
Community activist Idisha Jackson spoke on the stigma against black people after Emancipation Day in 1838. She noted that black people continue to rise with determination and willpower against all odds.
Determination and will, we can always conquer. Our forefathers conquered, and it's our duty to conquer. So today, I would like to tell persons we must always stand up and try to be as progressive as we can, help our brothers and sisters as we can, help to educate. Don't take schooling lightly. Don't take skills lightly. In order for us to have a better life, we must have an education or we must have a skill. You understand? So if you see the youths and them growing up and they're not getting a skill, whether it's learning a trade to be a plumber, a mason, a carpenter, encourage them into doing mechanics, encourage them to learn to read and write, you know, encourage them to sew, to knit, to draw. Anything that you see persons have, because each and every individual was born with a skill.
Member of Parliament for Central Kingston, Sinclair Leacock, who also addressed the celebration event, said black people need to believe more in themselves and what they can achieve.
It is the same people today who wish that I didn't reach Parliament or that I wasn't a Prime Minister. But in this country, I'm a million times more qualified than Gonzalez Son and all of them to run this your country. Take that from me. And it's about time we believe in ourselves and be representative of ourselves. You here are privileged to have a good man in Daniel Cummings. We are in the same vineyard, struggling for you because it is very lonely, very, very lonely to be what they call in the wilderness years. But it's our belief that we have seen the promised land.
There were several performances which showcase the African culture and heritage through songs, dances, poems, etc. Here is a snippet of some of the performances.
Drink with you. Then behind them to soup on you. Only your friends know your secrets, and only he could reveal it. And who the cap fits, let them wear it.
But those people stick around. Yes, that's why I say this is the time for black people's separation. Oh God, they're singing. Rebels out the road showing their frustration. This is the time when black people come together.
In some police news now, the police here are investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of Rodney Ash, a 57-year-old laborer of Kingston Park, that occurred on Monday, August 2nd, 2021. The deceased was reportedly shot about his body by some unknown person or persons on his way home about 7 p.m. A post-mortem examination is expected to be conducted on the body of the deceased. Ash death marks the 23rd homicide for 2021. Persons with information pertaining to this investigation are asked to contact the Assistant Commissioner in charge of crimes at telephone number 1784-4561-339 or the officer in charge of the Criminal Investigations Department, the Major Crimes Unit, at telephone number 1784-4561-810, or any police station or police officer you are comfortably with. The police say all information will be treated confidentially. 32-year-old Jason Williams of Cemetery Hill has been arrested and charged with the offense of burglary. The accused man allegedly entered the Salvation Army building at Melville Street, Kingston, as a trespasser and stole $12,077 in cash, the property of the Salvation Army. The accused was further charged with handling stolen goods. The police say further investigations reveal that the accused man allegedly knowing or believing that a number number of clothing items to be stolen goods did dishonestly receive same for his own benefit at Cemetery Hill on July 29th. The accused is expected to appear before the magistrate court to answer to the charge. And the National Firearms Association, in conjunction with the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Firearms Registry and Trading Office on Monday, August 2nd, held their first shooting competition at the shooting range in Annisville. The Police Public Relations and Complaints Department said several persons participated in the competition, but after the scores were tallied, Chris Morris was awarded the top prize of Best Pistol Shooter, Keyshawn Finley placed second, and Mose Cummins took the third position. The top female shooter prize went to Leah Bass. For their shooting prowess, the competitors received cash prizes in the sum of $300, first prize, $200, second prize, $100, third prize, and $100 for the top female shooter. The inaugural shooting competition was deemed very competitive and exciting. The participants shot from distances of 5, 7, 10, 15, and 20 meters.